Am I just delusional, or people asking other people out on dates is kind of like old school? Like the last time, I don't even remember. I don't even remember the last time someone was like, "Hey, would you want to go on a date with me?" Like, I'm gonna start saying it again. Okay, yeah, people still hang out in a romantic way, obviously, but like to explicitly ask someone out on a date and use those specific words, especially someone that you don't really know that well, like that's like a different kind of thing. Like, would you want to go out on a date with me? Like, when was the last time someone asked you that?
Ooh, bruh, I'm gonna have to level with you. This bitch don't look right. I mean, she look all ashy and shit. And just, like ET with a weave. If I was you, I'd just be out. Let's just go. Come on, let's go.
I can't leave her. That's my girl.
Are you kidding me? Come on, man. There's so much pussy in the world, man. You don't have to be with just her.
I can't believe this is Willow Smith, right? The daughter of Will Smith and Jada Pinkett Smith, quotation marks, and said, I can't believe this. This is her sitting up and doing I don't know. I don't know if she does these things on the regular, but, seeing her do one of these car videos is somewhat jolting and shit, especially considering her pedigree, right? Now, I'm just going to be brutally honest and shit, okay? She's sitting up complaining about, dating and shit, doing the thing, the what they call the reach back and shit, right? More or less. And I thought she was I don't know, I thought she was a trans woman or non-binary or some kind of weird ass shit, she identified with. You kids, all you think about is how you fucking identify and stand in your own little self-constructed bubble, so that you don't have to experience real life and shit. And I'm hearing this bullshit. Willow Smith is complaining about like dating shit, and I'm like, man, I can't imagine being at like her age, some guy with some prospects in the future. Not that it would matter, because she's rich. Not that it would matter, Like, I wouldn't say like she young enough to be my granddaughter, shit. But like, I wouldn't want my son fucking with her, okay? Because of who the mother is and shit. And who the father is too and shit. The fucking kids are a disaster zone and shit. And she had to consider that, some shit like that. Like, your whole life is on the public stage is a mess. Your mother's a unapologetic clout critter, clout chasing, and embarrassed and deconstructed the wholesome image that, a lot of people in the supposed community had of, her marriage to her father and shit. And on top of it, she participated in emotional abuse and terrorism and shit of her own dad and shit when she was, you know, prodded to write a letter to Tupac Shakur, a man that had been dead probably before she was even born. Write him a letter talking about, oh, can you come back to life? I want my mother to be happy and shit. And we knew Will Smith was down for the okie doke and shit because he didn't even take this fucking letter to an attorney and shit, like a battery of attorneys and shit, and present it in an epic divorce. He should have got divorced the minute he saw that bullshit. Right? He should have been like, okay, I'm out. Right? That is disrespectful, using a dead man as a third party and disrespecting a dead man's family. This man was murdered and shit. High profile murder. Never been solved completely. A lot of people have been, snuffed out behind the scenes. And that's not even the point, shit. It's the point that she was not even considered a person. Her own mother didn't consider her a human being. She was a useful idiot, a tool, a weapon to her own father. And she participated in that shit. She didn't have any kind of autonomy. So what are the prospects of fucking around with Willow Smith and shit? I mean, like, what kind of clout can you get if you sleep with Willow Smith and shit? All this weird ass shit and androgynous modeling and Just the weird old brother and shit. How do you know you're not getting a brother? They're not swapping out or something. That whole family is fucking weird. What are you going to talk about? You're going to ask her how it felt to watch their mothers jump off and come in from playing basketball outside in the front yard with, your older brother. Is anybody going to ask her some shit, like some hard-hitting questions? What's it like living in a house with a weird, sociopathic narcissist who may or may not be a witch? Yeah, a witch, right? Sitting up there with them bald heads, and you get to see Aisha Curry and a battery of women come in and just nuke the shit out of the supposed black community and shit by admitting their own malfeasant, sexual and otherwise desires and shit. And the fact that they don't care about nobody but themselves. That's the platform. That's what her mother's platform did. It was like a Pandora's box, and it was opened up, and like a mountains of shit was coming out of it into our community and shit. What does she have to offer? It can't just be box, right? Willow Smith can't just. What can she offer and shit? You would just be sitting there like her therapist. It'll be a spectator sport. If you slept with her, you know how messed up that would be. What that would do to you spiritually and otherwise and shit. If you laid down with her and had some kind of sexual encounter and shit, you know what that would open you up to and shit. Do you want to see her mother and her grandmother in your sphere of, within 5 feet of you and shit? Not that, who knows? Who knows what kind of weird hang-up she got? You might wake up and she might have taken a penknife and cut off one of your nipples or something. You don't know what's going on in her fucking head. You seen her father. What do you do if you see Will Smith? If he hug you and grab your booty or something, or grab your jewels down there. I'm not saying nothing. Just possibilities. Getting a little multiverse thing going on there. I wish Will Smith was a fucking man. And then maybe she will have a viable opportunity to actually be happy with some kind of partner of any sex, any identified. Maybe she can find another weird, space alien like herself and shit. I don't see any young man, anybody that's hooking up with her is not prearranged. All right, get my drift. And then they shoot on the bitch like this, man. But like, what the fuck could she possibly, bring to the table other than her trust fund, right? And her box and her weird looking body, weird asexual, shaved, looking body. I know she has some hair and shit, just the piercings and all that. I'm just tired of that shit. All these women, they seem like they come off a conveyor belt, a dysfunctional conveyor belt. They all look alike. They have the same piercings, the same graffiti written all over their body and shit. And who knows? And just the weirdest, open all kind of sexual, malfeasant behavior and shit. Eating groceries and just doing the most and shit. And, not feeling the need to let you know if they're clean or not down there. With weird feminist, hate speech and shit. You gotta imagine what the fuck you have to listen to, right? I mean, she could act nice for a minute or two, or maybe a day or a week or something, but eventually you gotta see the. You're gonna go into that black hole that's their fucking life and shit. Do you really want to be there just to be laying up with her ass with some box and shit and some cheddar, some of her money, her trust fund? Really, what the fuck? What is she looking for? What kind of person she want to meet and shit? She need to just call an agency. They have those for these people, these 1% people, and tell them to send somebody over and shit, or get her a homosexual or shit, you know. Anybody that's with her, she had the side eye and shit because, like, when she look in the mirror, like, I don't know what the fuck she sees and shit. I see a disrespectful life form that hated her own father and shit for no good reason. A man who gave her an idyllic lifestyle as a princess of Hollywood, Black Hollywood. All right, and she can't get a date. She can't just buy a motherfucker and shit. And Will, I don't know what to say, man. Jada, she need to fuck. She actually need to be behind bars for the time she sexually assaulted men of a certain age and shit, allegedly speaking, if that's true, including the darker half of that rap group Crisscross and shit. And she can sue the Dog Pound before she get around to sending me a cease and desist. Right? I'm like, shit. Imagine fucking with Willow Smith and shit if you were of age, and somebody she was interested in. And what does that look like? Like, what is her actual type and shit? We don't know what she has. They're just weird and creepy and shit. And is it because of the wealth? Probably so. Will Smith didn't have the level of wealth and worldwide notoriety and shit, she has to admit that she would not exist, nor would her brother. And maybe that's the real reason that she wrote that fucking letter to Tupac Shakur at the behest of her dysfunctional failure of a mother, among other things. Alright, I'm done here. This is an episode of Nope. And Willow Smith, if I'm even saying it right, and I don't care, she gets no rating. Alright, she's beyond a rating.
The Black Patriarchy. A non-existent group of fictional black male power brokers not discredited, erroneously jailed or outright killed by the minority majority who look the other way as they work tirelessly to shame, oppress, and outright take out the altruistic black female populace of the honorable democratic United States of America. 3K's inset bitches. These evil wealthy members of the black patriarchy are the sole reason for all the ills of the black community, walking, talking, holding down jobs, and doing everything up to and including giving their very lives in service to their baby mamas and baby's motherfucking kids. Their motto that strikes fear into the hearts of black women everywhere: bitches ain't shit but hoes and tricks.